Greeting, folks. My name is Jess Haynes, and I am a student at Aspen University. And joining me today is Kendinos, who is my service dog. There's Kendinos. She's apparently going to lick my hand. She says hi. Normally her ears are up. I don't know what the flat ear aesthetic that she's presenting today is. Anyway, today we are going to talk about social power or social influence, specifically in the workplace, and what that means, what that social influence or that social power means for leaders, and what that social impact and social influence means for those that are responding to the leaders of an organization. There are 3 particular points that we're going to hit today, and those 3 points are the idea of an alpha dog and what that means and some of the elements that looks like. Also going to talk about the 5 primary types of social power and a little bit of a couple examples of those. And lastly, I'm going to talk about the dominant type of social power that I see used in the organization that I personally work in. So I'm going to go ahead and jump right in. The term alpha dog is one that refers to someone in an organization that oftentimes has power. Let me rephrase. Someone who always has power, but only sometimes has position. Oftentimes the alpha dog will have position in an organization, but it's not necessarily so. It's not something that is always the case. The alpha dog at some points in an organization can be someone who's very quiet, who doesn't have a formal position, but that everyone else in the organization knows that they do have the power. So the power is the place, that social power is the place where alpha dogs are strong. And what an alpha dog does in an organization is they move the organization in the direction that they want it to go. And some alpha dogs do that in unhealthy ways, and that can look like abusive type behavior, very pushy, very demanding, very unhealthy. But in an ideal situation, this looks like very healthy, energetic movement for the organization. A healthy alpha dog will have their values and the values of the organization aligned so that they are moving forward. They are bringing their own personal energy and they are pushing that personal energy forward with the organization and through the organization. And the other members of the organization can find that very compelling. It can be a way that they can get involved with the values of the organization. They can get excited about the mission and the vision of the organization. And it doesn't require some of the more overt elements of power that we often see in a organization, such as someone who requires a raise to be motivated or something along those lines. And like I said, we'll speak in a minute about those types of social powers. But the alpha dog can oftentimes create forward movement, create direction, create vision, create excitement for the values of the organization without providing something overt. So it's not like they have to say, if you follow the values of this company, you'll get a raise. Or if you don't follow the values of this company, you'll get fired. They often don't need to use that like super clear, like threat versus reward type of mindset, because everyone in the culture, everyone around them knows that they carry some amount of power, some amount of influence, and people want to get behind that. And they can see where they're going. It's very clear. Alpha dogs often are very clear where they're going and why they're going there. And they're very willing to go there and move to those places, even if everyone else isn't going. The desire within them is usually to stir up that excitement and move the organization as a whole, but they're not looking for fame. They're not looking for a following so much as they're looking to forward the values that they have and the values that are important, which are specific to them and specific to their organization that they are leading or that they are part of. It has been said in regards to the alpha dog mindset When I was speaking with several different people in my personal organization and some other organizations that I touch with, many people were saying, like, I don't know who the alpha dog is in my organization. But as we talked about it more, almost everyone could identify a couple people that they were like, oh, that person is going somewhere, that person knows things, and that person is the one you want to get behind. If you're not with that person, you're going to be left behind. And that would be the alpha dog. That is the one that is going to do great things. And the people in the organization realize that and want to do great things with them, so that they can also live out their values in a way that feels meaningful. Moving on to the 5 types of social power, there's lots of different types of social power, but for the sake of this assignment, the 5 primary types of social power are coercive, reward, legitimate, expert, and referent. So let's start at the beginning. The first one is coercive. We see this a lot with new managers or maybe insecure managers, where all they've got is, if you don't do what I say, you're going to get fired, or I'm going to write you up, or if you do this thing one more time, I'm going to tell the manager above you and you're going to lose your position. This is a trying to change behavior, trying to gain power through the use of threats, generally, some sort of negative stimulus that's going to be applied. This type of social power is often poorly received. It can gain success in the short term, but it is very rarely successful in the long term. And it is something that a lot of people are resentful toward. And the second that the person who uses this type of social power is not in the picture, frequently people don't comply with it anymore. Moving on is the reward type of social power. And this is the antithesis to the coercive form of social power, but it has a very similar element to it. And what this is the mindset of, if you do this, I will give you this. So if you come in 10 minutes early every week, I will give you a raise. If you increase your production, you will get a bonus. If you have an increased customer service rating, you'll get a gift card, whatever the things may be. And this can be very productive. This can be very successful, especially if you know what rewards your team members in your organization desire, so you can customize it to your team. There could be a lot of success found in this method. Again, the danger of this can be if you're not able to provide the rewards anymore, or if the rewards are no longer being found rewarding to your people. And at that point, you no longer have any social power. The third form is called legitimate social power. And this one is kind of a combination of all the above. But what it is at its basis is, it means you have a position. So somebody in another form of power has said, you're a manager. Like in the military, you're a colonel, you're a lieutenant. So there's power because some other higher power has given you that stamp of approval. And that's what the legitimate form of social power is. This is often related to the coercive and the reward. So because someone has legitimate power, they have the ability to fire you. They have the ability to give you a raise. So they have those other abilities. And there's some element, especially with certain personalities, there's some personality types that simply will respond to someone because they are a known authority. And there's certain pieces of just human survival that come into this. A lot of us learned at a real young age that if we listen to authority figures, we're more likely to survive. And so there can be a trauma element or a basic survival element to this, of like, somebody in a position of power told me to do this, so I'm going to do this, even if we don't agree, because it feels like survival to our base brains. The fourth type of social power is expert. And the expert form of social power basically means that you know the things. And this is a form of social power because people will come to you because they know that you know the things. So if they have a question about a project, they know that they can come to you and you will be able to provide them with the information that they need to be able to accomplish the project. Or maybe you are struggling with a certain part of your job. You know you can ask them a question and they'll have the answer. Or maybe you even are an expert in how the business itself runs or how the management runs. And so they know if they go to you, you can provide them insight on how the management is going to respond. And that can make it far easier for them to navigate the management system. And this can be a different, kind of an offshoot, but still in that expert form of social power. The last form of social power that we're going to talk about today is a referent. In this form of social power, what it boils down to is that you're respected by the people that are following you or the people that are surrounding you. It means that they know that you will advocate on their behalf, or they know that you genuinely care about them, or they know that you will use the power that you have for their good. And this boils down to, I'm oversaying that today, but this is this element of, even if you don't have something to offer them at this moment, they know that at the moment you do have something to offer them, you will use it for their good. This is a very powerful form of social power because it doesn't require something tangible in the moment. It is something that can extend over a long period of time and something that people can anticipate, and they are willing to hold off on their desires and their wants for the moment because they know that something bigger and better can come. And this is the type of leader who their team members know will always have their back. And there's a huge loyalty piece that comes in to this. And when somebody believes that their leader supports them, has their back, genuinely cares for them, genuinely advocates for their well-being, there can be very minimal limits to how far team members will go to stand behind this type of a leader. So moving on to the next topic, what is a dominant type of social power used in my organization? The primary organization that I work with right now is called First Responder Trauma Counselors, and it is a organization that provides trauma counseling for cops, medics, nurses, ER techs, firefighters, etc. And I would say I am super fortunate because the primary form of social power I see used in this organization, especially in regards to me, is definitely referent social power. The Ed is one of the primary bosses, one of the primary leaders in our organization. And I know beyond a doubt that if I needed something personally or professionally, I could send him a text today and he would do his utmost to make it happen. That is the type of human he is, and that's the type of leader he is. I also know that if I had an issue or concern with one of my clients, like an emergency or a crisis situation, one of my clients was suicidal, something along those lines, and I needed support for my client, I know again, I could call him and he would do everything possible to make sure my client received the absolute best care that they could have. And me doing an excellent job, I don't receive rewards for doing an excellent job. I'm not threatened if I don't do an excellent job. The structure is very vague, so there's not a lot of legitimate authority figures. There is definitely some amount of expert social power. Several of our leaders are very knowledgeable and have been clinicians for a very long time, and they know a lot of things. But even more than what they know, it's about who they are and what their integrity is, what their honor code is. And I know that they'll have my back at the end of the day. And I know if I had to request a leave of absence because I was having medical issues, I know that wouldn't be a problem because I know they want me to be well and they want their clinicians to function at the highest level possible. Just as an example, I had a surgery earlier this year and they sent me a care package. Not to reward me for accomplishing anything, nothing along those lines, but simply because I'm part of that team and they want me to know that they have my back and they care. So I consider myself super incredibly fortunate to be able to work in an environment that has that type of dynamic, because they're friends as well as colleagues, as well as team members, as well as my supervisor. All right. So in this message, I spoke briefly about the concept of alpha dog, what that means, what some of the pieces of that looks like in real life. I considered the 5 types of social power, coercive reward, legitimate, expert, and referent, and considered what the dominant type of social power used in my personal organization is. Thank you very much for your time and attention during this video, and I hope that you have an exceptional week. Take care. Peace.